What famous intro? We don't even know what our name is yet. How can I intro to that?
Well, it's less important, isn't it? I mean,
We are. I suggested Gabe is equal to or greater than Daniel.
it's a great suggestion.
What?
And that's all it will ever be.
Are we just going to just shorten it to Gig D?
Gig D.
I don't know. It doesn't roll off the tongue. That's for sure.
It doesn't. It is a good. I mean, hey, it's a good attempt. Let's keep trying.
I would be like the Gabe, Dan, and Luke show. That's GDL, which sounds like
DDL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and I've already got a Millwall tat. That's not a good idea. Go down that.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Yeah, but really, at this rate, like you'll be bringing it up at my funeral.
I mean, we're not the English disco lovers, so I feel like that just doesn't count.
The English disco lovers.
Yeah.
It's a shame that's not what the EDL is.
It was for one point. I knew the guy who made it the. I knew the guy who, I kid you not, he made it his year-long goal to make the top Google result for EDL for English disco lovers, and he did it. I
I just
kid you
got the
not.
idea of a
All
map.
around London at English. I don't know, English Defence League, whatever the name of this march is. They turn up rocking disco, and it was fantastic.
That's what, in my head, what I thought you meant was a massive group of skinheads turning up to a field being like, we're just really into ABBA. and then their
There's no Creamfields this year, boys.
and then their politics got mixed.
They're stealing our disco.
What do we want? Disco hits. When do we want them? Anytime. Are you slowly slipping into Darude?
Yeah.
Because
I was doing the build-up at the start.
Yeah. We are the dudes doing Darude.
We are.
So yeah, I'm Gabe.
I'm Dan.
I'm Luke.
Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hope everyone's been well today.
Oh yeah, we've all been really well today. What was that? The breathiness of that. I hope everyone's been well today.
Have you been? You've been on the 0909 numbers again.
You'd know I'm off by heart, wouldn't you?
I don't even know if it's 0909 anymore. I just remember when I was growing up, everyone was like, "Okay, call 0909 numbers. They cost you a fortune."
So, what's on the agenda today, okay?
Apparently the breathiness of Dan's voice.
No, we were talking about Luke. Luke was the breathy one.
Nope.
Was I the breathy one?
You were the breathy one.
Oh, jeez.
Why have you been breathing so much recently, Dan?
If I take the mic, it's not going to be out of myself, is it?
I mean,
Is that weird?
it's happened before.
I didn't realise I was so breathy. I'll make a point of it. No, I don't. You know, just stress.
Why do people breathe?
Why didn't we talk about the agenda?
Oh yeah. Okay. So carry up on the show today. I will be talking a little bit about Lost in Space, Netflix show, quite popular. It has robots. I love it.
Is this in order of when it's going to come up?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, off that, I will also be talking about a different kind of Lost in Space.
Welfare.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought we was going to talk.
Oh no! I'm not doing that.
I thought we was going to talk about the original Lost in Space.
No.
Oh.
Oh no, we're gonna because there's some things happening with the Expanse that I was going to talk about.
Okay, Dan's going to talk about another show called The Expanse.
But it's basically Lost in Space. But
Yeah.
Eurovision.
Yes.
yeah.
I love it.
If we have time at the end, maybe I'll get into a little bit of Far Cry 5. That was a good game, played that.
I've never played Far Cry.
Yeah, no,
We'll talk about it.
apart from that one, so there's that one. Oh really? Is that how this works? There was a point leading on from last week with Infinity War that I kind of wanted to touch on again, just in terms of never talked about what could happen next.
Well, should we talk about that towards the end because otherwise we'll spend 70 minutes talking about Infinity
we
War.
won't.
Okay.
No, it'll be
yeah.
170 minutes this
I'm
time.
okay with that being the bit. That's
Okay.
Okay, so
Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
That's
right,
alright.
so okay. Lost in Space, how was it? Netflix. Netflix
So-
segment.
For the people out there that don't know anything about Lost in Space, including probably me and Luke as well, most of that.
Yep.
What is Lost in Space?
That face of like, damn, I've got to explain it.
Alright, well, Lost in Space is a Netflix, well, technically a Netflix original series, but it's an adaptation / reimagining of like a show from the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
It features a family called the Robinsons, who are part of a group of people who go into space, colonize nearby star system.
So a minute, is it basically the Swiss Family Robinson in space?
You just never let him explain something.
No,
So-
I'm just drawing it out.
What I love is Dan goes, okay, for people who don't know anything, like me and Luke, and then proceeds to lecture me on all the backstory.
No, I'm not lecturing. I'm just saying, like,
Let me synopsis before you dig in with your
Your welfare.
with your postdoc analysis.
But how do these people survive? Are they on UBI?
Where's I am speechless right now.
No, I just meant in terms of, the Swiss family Robinson that like live on an island in the 70s. Is it the same kind of stuff?
Okay, so if I can get past the opening
Okay, let's
sentence.
just talk about it.
Yeah, alright. So I will breeze through for the sake of Dan's patience. Yeah. Bunch of people go to space, colonize Alpha Centauri is the plan. Episode 1, we start. Holy smokes, something goes wrong and the spaceship crashes.
Mm-hmm.
We follow the Robinson family when they crash. They've got to sort stuff out because they crash in a glacier and they would try to first escape. They do that, it's great. Second,
Do you mean escape to the ship or the
Spoilers.
planet?
they get out of the ship.
Okay.
Then there's some complications which lead to one of the kids being literally trapped in ice
Oh wow.
inside a spacesuit, so she's still alive with limited oxygen under ice.
What a cliffhanger.
And that's like 10 minutes in.
Oh right.
Also,
It's answered immediately.
Lost in Space being an actual hour long, they can get a lot done. And they do. So yeah, if you hadn't figured by now, I'm going to go into plot points of the pilot episode / episode 1 of Lost in Space from Netflix.
So is it just a family that goes?
We will get there. In the pilot, yeah, we follow the family through. Dad was in the army / Marines and was absent from the family for a bit, and the mother's got strong resentment about that.
Mm-hmm.
They've got 3 kids. Julie, Will. It's always a kid called Will.
That's just filling time while he
Yeah.
remembers the third name.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I am sorry.
Is it?
And
Penny Robinson, the middle child, which is really bad because Penny gets a lot of screen time. So yeah, Ma, Pa, 3 kids. One of the kids, the oldest one, is trapped in ice. Will's like 11.
Is Will the youngest?
Yeah, Will's the youngest, and while they're all trying to freak out and figure out what to do, because also alien planet night's coming, they'll all freeze to death.
Mm-hmm.
The kid Will spots that there's some stuff in a mountain really far away that will like help melt the ice. A little bit of chemistry, it's kind of cool. Apparently magnesium burns hot. So anyway, Will and the dad go off to try and get some of this basically MacGuffin rock. Well, yeah, that's what it is,
Yeah.
plot point. The mum and the middle child kind of stay put because the mum broke her leg.
Mm-hmm.
And mum's freaking out, not freaking out, but needs medical attention. So that's happening. Anyway, the dad goes down and starts getting some of the stuff, and then has to rush back because the broken leg's kind of got a complication, and so leaves Will in a forest, saying he will be back though. He's one man, and like everyone in his family has got something like gonna die soon going on.
Yeah.
So he
There
picks.
was obviously some really great planning at the start when he said this family of one individual who could.
Well, no, like the idea was everyone had to qualify to get onto it as well, which is
In the family.
yeah. So anyway, let's one thing at a time, Dan. One thing at a time.
Yeah.
So yeah, most of the family are at the ice now, panicking because they can't dig out the little girl.
Anakin Skywalker.
Panicking Skywalker. Will's in a forest and chilling out. He finds a spaceship, but it's not a human spaceship. And there's a robot which is in 2 pieces. Like, one of the trees gets hit by lightning, a fire starts, the robot takes a swing at him, and he's like, ah! Climbs up the tree into a branch, where the other half of the robot is, looking kind of sad.
Well, he's got the higher ground there, so he'll be fine.
Well, they're kind of equal now. He's no longer Anakin Skywalker. He's Obi-Wan Kenobi. So yeah. Anyway, robot initially seems like some kind of malicious enemy. Then with the trees like burning and stuff, the kid Will is like, "Oh, I'm gonna take a risk," and fixes the robot by shoving the top half literally on top of the bottom half, and it fixes it. And then from
That's
there,
how robotics
Yeah.
Ka-chunk.
My Meccano history is coming into real handy.
it's very realistic. Yeah, robot becomes Will's friend, goes and saves the day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we pick up with the movie WALL-E.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the brunt of the episode. Is Robinson family, bad stuff happens, robot helps them. At the end of the episode, there's a little bit where we meet like a couple of other characters, and we're like, "Ooh, who are they?" Mystery. End of the pilot.
Well, people that were on the planet already.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we know that the Robinsons aren't the only ones. And that is the pilot. I've seen 6 episodes now because I really enjoy it.
Okay.
But yeah.
So it was a good recommendation. You're really getting into it.
Yeah. As a pilot, it was good because I didn't expect the hour to have so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I wanted to know more what was going to happen.
So
you rate the pilots,
yeah.
don't you?
Yeah.
Rate the pilots.
So I have some questions.
It was a good flight. I would call that one. I think 9 out of 10.
Ooh.
That's a good.
The only thing short of like true perfection 10 was there are moments where I felt like it was kind of like I was waiting for it to keep going. There were moments where I was like, oh, this does feel like an hour. And it wasn't helped that I was watching like 20-minute anime shows as well around that time.
Yeah.
A different show, different pacing.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 from me. Can and will recommend.
I don't think I'm going to watch it.
That's all. That's all right.
Sorry.
If you don't like
that kind of thing, it sounds like Mass Effect Andromeda.
Well, this
Which
is
is
going to
not
be my
your kind of
question.
thing.
Like,
I've played that and enjoyed it. It's more what I meant. It's more like I've done that kind of story.
well, I
Really
don't
recent
think.
memory.
I don't think it's necessarily that it's like the old ones were quite family friendly.
I've not seen the original Lost in Space. Could you give us a little bit of a rundown of that as a show?
Well,
I've set back around.
I haven't seen the old show. The old show was very like B-movie 50-esque.
Oh yeah, I forgot. It sounds like the score is by John Williams. So it's like a cross between Jurassic Park and
something else.
What's his name? A really famous director who does family movies are all heartwarming, like E.T. Who did E.T.?
Columbus.
Spielberg.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I said Spielberg.
Columbus.
I don't know.
Columbus.
It's
Don't ask me about movie directors.
It's a Spielberg
I was going
Columbus
to say
movie.
Nolan after that. I'm not even sure if that's a director or not.
No.
Mark Wahlberg, he's a director.
So it sounds like the soundtrack's by Mark Wahlberg. No, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Was it? Would you say it was quite family friendly? Or?
It's weird. It is a family show, but it's not like focused on kids. Like, for instance, in the pilot, someone has a very real chance of suffocating in ice, literal inches from their family.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah, and it is a spoiler, but the PTSD that's bound to come with does actually come with and get addressed.
Really?
And there's also the actual worst person I've ever seen, ever.
I wasn't in this film, so I think that's a lot.
Okay, second worst. But yeah, brilliantly written and acted, but boy do I hate that character. And you will know them when you...
Is it just Ramsay Bolton has been
I was about to
transplanted
say,
into Lost in Space?
do you hate this person more than Joffrey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
Without
That's a
hesitation.
level. That's a
Like,
level.
because Game of Thrones is particularly good at creating hateable characters.
Well,
So,
the
I
thing
mean, if
is
it's-
this is personal. This
Yeah.
is one person who interacts with our cast a lot
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
and
Joffrey
lives
did
around
that.
them.
Yeah.
Like in Game of Thrones, because it's political and quite grand. That's not really spoilers. It's grand fantasy.
I don't know, just that line alone you could kill him for.
Yeah.
Hearty to
Oh, yeah. I don't think he has this. There's not a single scene I've ever seen of it that he was in that you don't come away thinking you just slimy. Like, there's no redeeming feature he has.
Oh, you say that. The 80s version trailer of Game of Thrones manages to just about find 5 seconds of good runtime to paint him in a slightly agreeable light.
Really?
Yeah, it's great. If you haven't watched it, I would definitely also recommend looking up 80s Game of Thrones intro.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Oh, give
It's really, really well done.
that a
be
watch.
fair.
Yeah, that's on YouTube though. Sorry, Netflix.
But well, that's good. I mean, if they've got characters with that much depth.
Yeah, and it's not all sad times. The robot is the purest cinnamon roll I've ever seen until it kills everyone, and then it's kind of the purest killer. But I love it in both modes. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's like the Iron Giant.
Yeah. Oh,
You way into that.
I also like the Iron Giant, and if you like it, you may like Lost in Space.
The Iron Giant's a really good film.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's pretty. It's pretty good. It also has the one artist guy / the dude
yeah.
that was me at uni, 100%.
That one artist guy.
Yeah, that was me. Art. The one
I just
artist guy.
realised who you meant. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Can confirm. But yeah, no, that was Lost in Space, which I really enjoyed.
So how many have you've watched the whole, is it 10 episodes? Have you watched
There's, I think, about halfway
He
through.
said he's seen 6.
No, I know, but I didn't know if it was 10. I didn't know if you'd finished the season.
Netflix is all about the 12.
Not that kind of commitment.
Yeah.
I mean, that is also 6 hours worth of TV.
Yeah. I mean, that would, think about it another way, that's like 18 hours worth of anime.
Ooh, no. Stop, you're taking me down a tangent. And after you guys' warm reception of Megalobox, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about talking anime. It's so good.
9 out of 10 for Lost in Space.
9 out of 10, it's in your face, Lost in Space.
Dun-dun-dun.
Cheers, Dan.
No,
Our boy on bass.
yeah, no.
But yeah, what shall I look at next week? Or will we find that out later in the show?
Oh, I have a word.
Yeah, I was looking at a few things to put together for you.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if
but
you'd
they
be
never
really.
came to fruition.
Well, I didn't know if you'd be really into Lost in Space. So I didn't. Want
Well, it's not always about whether or not I'd really be into it. Because
The clicking of Dan's fingers begins.
Marseille was a risk, as was 3%.
Marseille was, to be fair, it wasn't a risk. It was a known quantity.
In the theme of last week's podcast,
Yeah.
how about if we get you to watch Marvel's Luke Cage?
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's a
I'd
good
be
shout.
up for that. I've had a lot of recommendations for Marvel's Luke Cage.
Seems to be one of the more popular superheroes from the Marvel universe.
Well, have you seen any of the? Because I feel like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. gets rebranded and re-released every year. There's
Well,
always something about
That's because it's a
I've not
TV
seen
show
any
that
of
gets
it.
a new series every year.
No. I'm not talking about the existing one. There was a new one that's come out now. That's like the new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or the Defenders or something.
Official title.
Yeah. I think they just add a new at the beginning every time. So we've got the new.
The newer Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
The brand new Agents. Yeah. So I don't know. I've always been kind of put off those, but the Luke Cage one does actually look pretty good.
Cool. I enjoyed Jessica Jones partly because David Tennant as a villain who just wants attention made me laugh way more than it should have done. Yeah, I'll give it a go. Tune in next week for what I thought of the first hour of Luke Cage.
That sounds like he's wrapping up the entire podcast.
Yeah, it does. Man, that's all we got time for. Well,
it's lies, stay.
Yeah, no, on the same token, I actually want to talk about... Have you seen The Expanse, by any chance?
Nope.
I know, because I know obviously Gabe has, but...
Okay.
Obviously.
The Expanse is
well,
also...
no, Gabe actually was the one that initially mentioned it to me.
Okay, yeah. I've chatted for a bit. Dan, do you want to tell people about what The Expanse is, other than my waistline?
Ooh. We can't comment.
I wouldn't dream of commenting.
That's alright. You might not be able to see it at home, but you wouldn't want to. I love the power of audio. They've got no clue what I look like.
Excuse us for this brief intermission while we put Gabe in the bin.
Yeah, Gabe's been suffering from a bit of, self-esteem problems. Well, if you haven't seen it, it's actually a good show. So they're based on
Great
a book from
opening.
James
It's
Corey.
actually a good
No,
show.
it is because before I saw it, I kind of thought it was maybe a bit cheap.
Life wasn't made.
It didn't look that great, but it's actually pretty good. It's based on a series book by James A. Corey.
So, two guys wrote some books, and their
Yeah.
pen name
One
is
cover.
James A. Corey.
But he wrote a whole series. I think there's like 6 or 8 books so far. The first one's Leviathan Wakes, and it follows like a couple of different protagonists. But the main one is a guy called James Holden,
Mm.
and he's kind of like a modern Messiah-esque.
He's really not.
No, in certain ways. I mean, in terms of the setups.
In terms of the welfare, yes.
Absolutely.
He's a socialist.
Yeah, he grows up in rural Montana, classic Jesus story. But no, so it's set like the 23rd century,
Okay.
and the whole point of the solar is that the solar system is divided
The
into
future.
Earth, Mars, and then the outer planets, which is like the asteroid belt and Jupiter's moons.
Okay, so what? Earth and Mars are your boys, and then everyone else is sort of like, all right, you're a bit out there. Come on.
Yeah.
Get close to the sun, or fly away.
Basically, Earth is the UN.
You're not wrong.
Earth is the UN. Mars is like a United States, sort of apparel. Like it's like the most military advanced. It's got the best ships. It's got the best military. And then the outer planets and all the little asteroid belts are basically like
Colonies.
South Africa, like in terms of their speech patterns, in terms of their slang, in terms of the way they dress things, and there's a lot of like social parallels and stuff. But it's a really good show, and it does.
I just couldn't wait for you to bring in social parallels.
That is
We've been he's eased us in with America and South Africa.
I've eased you in, so
Let the parallels be social.
start drawing some parallels.
Let the parallels have friends, Luke. Let them socialise.
But it's a really good show that explores like the whole point is he sort of bounces around between them, and he finds himself in the middle of the storm like multiple different times, and he's always finding ways to get out of it.
That's where it's calm.
Well, yeah.
Just to
Great.
shoot through your metaphor.
Great meteorological slam there. But anyway, like so the first 2 seasons were pretty critically acclaimed, and then the third one was held on. They did it on Sci-Fi. I think they're still running it now, but Sci-Fi have just announced they're dropping it.
Oh no, Netflix are picking up. It's coming out soon.
Yeah, well, this is kind of what I was. So there was this. I looked onto Reddit a couple of weeks ago, and the top post was like, "We must save the Expanse. It's the most realistic vision of the future."
Speaking of,
And
Brooklyn Nine-Nine almost got cancelled, then a day later it got renewed.
Did you see the Ryan Reynolds tweet on that? Like Ryan Reynolds sent out a tweet saying like "Welcome to the family" or something. And and so there's been this huge online campaign to try and save it because it's pretty it's a bit of a fan favourite.
It's a cult sci-fi.
But you're saying it's being.
If anyone's ever seen Spaced, I do a very good impression of Marsha. Alright, bro. It's a cult sci-fi hit.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, that's right.
So you heard it's been picked up by Netflix?
I've heard.
Who have you heard from?
Netflix.
Who do you know on the grapevine there?
Netflix and Sci-Fi, the Expanse fans, and then the rest is enjoying.
So you think so?
Oh no, I was wrong.
I was gonna say.
I was pretty sure because I saw like a new season coming out, and now having done a little look, The Work Zone, Netflix passes on The Expanse 2 days ago.
Oh,
Amazon interested.
Yeah. Well, no, there's quite a lot of people that supposedly want to save it. It's kind of like the whole keep the internet neutral thing on a very more focused level.
What, really?
Yeah.
How is it like keeping
the
internet neutral?
Explodes.
Welfare.
Oh, I see.
I'm just going to keep dropping that.
The welfare of the world.
You shouldn't drop it. You might be on it.
Oh, well done. Boom. Tune in next week.
Didn't even mean to do that.
Why did you do the outro?
I don't know. I'm just kidding.
You would really. I think you'd like The Expanse though. It's one of.
No, I'm that guy that's completely opposed to all the space films that have come out recently.
Space. Which one?
There's like the Martian with
yeah.
Geezer Boy. There's the one
Geezer Boy.
True.
There's
What
the
do you
one
mean Matt Damon?
There's the one that
It was directed by Mark
Sandra
Wahlberg.
Bullock did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Then
Gravity.
There was like another 3 that I'm forgetting now. I'm pretty sure there's like a Matthew McConaughey one in there somewhere. I might be wrong.
No, okay.
Yeah.
But you see what I mean? Like,
I see what you mean.
Like 5 years, there's like so many
Okay.
like these space movies that all look so similar.
So let's run through the names. You mentioned The Martian, Gravity. I don't know why I'm doing that. What was it?
You're pulling out your inner New York.
Yeah, because the one you were talking about, Matthew McConaughey,
That's Interstellar.
Interstellar by the Nolans.
Yeah, but
The
Prometheus.
Expanse.
Oh no, come on, let's not.
I like why he's like
I've not seen any
grounded
of them, so I don't
sci-fi
know. All I
and
know
then
is-
Alien sequel.
All I know is a lot of them have just come out recently, and every time I see an advert, I'm like, this looks like the same as the last one that you had.
Yeah.
I swear there was a Ryan Reynolds one recently with like some
Life.
goop in space.
Life. Yeah.
Yep, okay.
Goop in space. That sounds like hair
Ryan
gel.
Reynolds, Jake Gyllenhaal, and yeah, that was a bit. I watched that. That wasn't great. No, okay, so I've seen pretty much all of those films you mentioned.
Dan likes space.
Expanse is better than all of them. Like the films are good, but all of those films you've mentioned, they all hit on one thing. They're always talking about like humanity reaching out and doing great things and overcoming obstacles. But The Expanse isn't about that.
It's about how humanity sucks.
Yeah, The Expanse is genuinely about how everyone is a bit of a douche, and everyone on Earth is only interested in themselves. Everyone on Mars is way too idealistic to accomplish anything, and everyone in the belt is so busy fighting for air and oxygen they don't have any time to think ahead. It's actually it's a lot more realistic, and it just every time it winds up that they're all facing off against each other, and the solution is so clear, but it's so opposite to what their initial goal and agenda is. They can't think to try and get through it. It's pretty good in terms of the way it lays out the problems.
It's a nice thematic explanation of the show.
You're not going to have a situation where Matthew McConaughey's pulling on gravity beams trying to like, come on, you can figure it out.
I've just never really been excited by space. Like even watching like Guardians of the Galaxy things, I'm kind of like, can you do that on Earth? I don't know why it doesn't get me. I'm one of those people who's like, let's watch an Indiana Jones. Let's discover something cool that's here. El Dorado, where's that then? Like,
this would explain why you like wizards over sci-fi.
I honestly think it's just like the visuals.
Yeah.
Like, I think I don't like the visuals like the black backdrop with all like the stars and stuff like that. No, like even when it's like all like the like, you know, the colours that you get in the background and stuff like that. Like I don't.
You mean like nebulas and stuff?
Yeah, like and they have all that. I don't know. It just puts me off, and then everyone's on a spaceship and it all looks metallic and stuff, and I'm like, this feels weird. Don't know why. I don't know what it is. It's just
you're just
visually.
Too much of an Earth
I'm not
child.
about it.
You'd be rather sat on a beach listening to guitar music.
Put me on a fantasy planet any day of the week. Lotto.
Well, you might find one if you travel.
Lord of the Rings, that is done.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you might find a fancy planet out there.
Educate yourself.
Yeah.
Wizards.
Yeah.
You're a wizard, Luke.
I mean, I wouldn't.
So you've never really been interested in space.
I mean, I do watch some of them, but I mean, when in recent times it's like every advert is like those films that we were just mentioning. I'm kind of like, all right, come on.
There is a massive.
Let's do something else.
It is a bit saturated, isn't it? There's a lot of space films out there.
I mean, ironically, I'm a big Marvel fan.
Yeah, but you know, Marvel's got Vikings and wizards as well.
Where on one hand, yes, it's very saturated, and on the other hand, also includes space.
Yeah. It's a bit different. The Expanse does a really good job of laying out a potential realistic future, but to lay out the point later on in the series, that completely changes. Like, it starts off pretty realistic and it's about politics and like how people try to live together, but it ends up taking a more almost fantastical turn.
What's that Twitter poll you've got open there?
Gets melodramatic, I think is a good way to describe it.
Yeah, so this is the sequel memes versus prequel memes.
Oh, okay.
I like that Dan's trying to like talk big about politics, and he goes also prequel memes. But
I mean I feel it's a bit of a shame. I think The Expanse has probably got a season or two in it, but I don't know. It's the first 2 or 3 were really pretty good, but after that maybe it'll drop.
Really pretty.
From a book standpoint, what cracked me up, or maybe not cracked me up, but made me feel a little sad, was the books.
Not cracked me up, but made me feel a little sad. I feel like your emotional range.
The two are about there,
the juxtaposition
right next to each other.
Fantastic.
Sometimes,
it just cracked me up. Well, I was sad.
quite often, to do one, it takes the other.
This makes sense now. Why you sometimes cry when you're laughing.
More than sometimes. But reading the books, with some of the scenes and the imagery and stuff was ridiculous. But no, there was like some epic scale stuff, which understandably, as like a sci-fi channel show, they did pretty good. But some of the stuff was not as epic as I would like.
Scenes in a book.
Oh, you mean on the show that?
On the show, it just wasn't as ridiculous as in the book.
Yeah.
Which, admittedly, in a book you write some words down, whereas in a show you have to have like a literal army/country of animators sit down and make it.
And now we see how important budget is.
But they did adapt that. Like
he didn't bite the bait.
Yeah.
Our man's growing up.
The budget did get better, but I do know what you mean. Yeah, it wasn't as laid out as you could have done. But I mean, at least they didn't go the Star Trek Discovery route of making it all terrible.
if you don't like space, don't watch The Expanse. If you love space, do watch The Expanse.
You think?
Yeah,
I think. See, I do.
Is it real people in the sci-fi world?
I think Luke would actually find it okay because he doesn't like.
Okay.
No, because you don't like all of the like.
Dan's ringing endorsements are it's okay.
No, I'm trying to say that. Even
Gabe's
people,
ringing endorsements are it
Is
made
it-
me laugh and kind of feel sad.
Is it real people in a sci-fi world, kind of like
Yeah.
Game of Thrones is real people
Yeah,
in fantasy?
yeah. It's a world full of real douchebags and real nasty people, and then occasionally people that are trying to do good things, but they all get caught up in their own crap.
I mean,
And-
the hook is the science isn't even that fictional.
Yeah.
Other than one bit, but you'll know it when you see it. And in the books, I'm just gonna say, Vomit Zombies was better.
Yeah,
You'll know it, listeners, but Vomit Zombies for the win, FTW.
But to
Damn.
be fair, the changes. There's a huge like.
It
plot
went
point.
from a horror film to.
Oh my god, and your dad.
Yeah.
Vomit Zombies is fine.
See, I was being low key, and then you had to make it into a big
You're
deal.
nothing like Loki, you don't understand.
I'm full of tricks.
He's tricksy.
Tripsel.
That was really good.
That was really
That
good.
was really good. Did I again?
Stupid fat hobbits.
That was really good.
That's the power. You look at Andy Serkis one
Yeah.
time, and you can do his voice like that.
That's good.
Look at him one time.
Well, you saw him that
Without
one.
a suit.
Yeah,
Yeah. But long story short, I think you'd like it.
yeah, cool.
And you should send Netflix a message or someone, tell them to pick it up.
Pick me up as a voice actor.
Yeah. Yeah. Or anything really.
Oh. Sorry, Luke might not like space, but did he like Far Cry 5?
Oh, you're Far Cry 5 already?
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like jumping into a different
Oh,
ship.
okay.
For
We
it.
need to go. We
So,
2 space shows. We need
First
to
off, what I want to do is I kind of want to show you guys the like picture for it and then sort of describe it to the audience. Or I might get Dan to describe it just because it's brilliant.
Is it a far
But-
cry from what I would expect?
So Far Cry games, naughty, first off. Second off, they have this very good knack of making really epic bad guys. And just off of that, I kind of want you to describe what you're seeing there for like the banner for Far Cry 5.
Okay, so he's the anti-Jesus sitting at a I can't remember the name of
Last Supper.
the Last Supper, but he's on the table is an American flag, and it looks like wow. There's a lot of bad hombres. Let's put it up. but the actual main character, is he wearing like yellow sunglasses?
Yup.
Jesus, who wears yellow sunglasses?
I
He's definitely committing genocide.
Not gonna lie, he spends most of the game half naked.
Oh really?
Like with his top half like naked.
I've got like a really bad confession, guys. I wear yellow sunglasses.
Do you also spend most of the time half naked?
we
If
work,
so, you could apply to be the next bad guy in Far Cry 6.
we work together, Dan. I'll let you answer that question.
He
Yeah.
does. He spends most of his time half naked.
But yeah, so it's set in like in Hope Valley in like southern
ironic.
US. And what made me laugh about it was like the first like when you load up the game, it comes up with one of those classic messages like this isn't based on anyone or anything and made by a team of multicultural people and all that kind of stuff. And I was kind of like, you're kind of getting at the KKK a little bit here though, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, come on. So basically it's Joseph Seed, who is like the main bad guy, and then his 2 brothers, Jacob Seed and John Seed, and then that is a wolf.
Is that a wolf?
That's a wolf, yes.
Which one of the Stark kids' wolf is that?
Well, none of them. One of the Seed kids.
Oh.
And then the Chica there
Yeah,
is Faith Seed.
I was going to say, is that supposed because they've obviously made the effort to include one woman. like,
Multicultural
you
and
do
diverse.
need your Mary
It's-
Magdalene.
Basically, you start the game and like you go in to like arrest him for, if I remember, it's like with the intent to murder. But what's ironic about it is that there's before you even go into that, they show you watching film footage of him putting his thumbs into someone's eye so that he can see the Lord and stuff like that. And I was kind of like, but you're going in with like to arrest him for attempt to murder when you have video evidence of him actually murdering. And then, but yeah, so you go to arrest him, and then basically he's like, God won't let you take me,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, he believes that you coming there is the start of the apocalypse.
Okay. So he's not complying then.
No, he complies, and so does everyone around him, because he genuinely believes God won't let you take him.
Yeah.
So then you get him in a helicopter and start flying off, and all of his sort of like people are so willing to die for him, they're jumping on the helicopter and stuff, trying to bring it down. You get maybe like 50 to 100 feet in the air, and then like one of them sort of like just climbs up into the blades of the helicopter just to like suicide themselves, just splats all over the screen, the helicopter crashes. And he gets out, believes it's the apocalypse, and then they just run amok in Hope Valley and take over absolutely everything with all the weapons they've been stockpiling for ages.
Yeah.
Completely take over the place. Good game. Very
And then
enjoyable
you're obviously
game.
fighting back against them. And...
Yeah, like the classic Far Cry game, like weird cult has taken over an area, you know, other people won't do anything about it, so it's on you to lead a revolution.
Well, that's the plot of half the games in the market.
Pretty much, but yeah.
Resident Evil has the exact same plot.
What got me though is the 2 endings for this game. Well, actually, I lied. 3 endings. First ending can be done after 10 minutes of playing the game.
By
And
the
it
way,
gives you the option to arrest Joseph at the start. If you don't press anything to arrest him, the game just ends there, and it's like you just walk away. You're like, okay, yeah, no, we're not arresting him. Let's leave. Get out of here. Like, this was a bad idea. Ends the game. No, I was like,
Let's go grab a coffee.
I mean, fair play. Like that could be an ending.
Yeah.
Nice that they put that in.
One of the endings is, so throughout the game you're basically taking down his family to remove his sort of hold on Hope Valley.
Are they called his disciples?
I don't think they are.
They're not. It's not quite as blatantly.
No. It's not like a direct.
Yeah, it's more of a just a yeah.
He just believes the end of the world is coming, and God gave him a message, and that's what it's all about. So he's got like all of his sins written on his chest, and he like crosses out the ones with
to be fair,
like, the ones that he's like. He believes he's
I don't see what the problem is. That's the sign of a very sane individual.
I don't know why I'm picturing a lot of like pro markers here.
But yeah, big spoilers in terms of the ending. So you spend a lot of time gathering a lot of friends throughout your time in Hope Valley. Get to the end and they have like this drug which is called bliss, which kind of makes you go like a bit like weird in the head, and it's like Faith Seed's whole domain.
Yeah.
Kind of overtakes all your friends and says, "Oh, I realised why you had to kill my family so that I could have your family as my family," and then like just takes all your mates and like uses them against you. Now you have the option at the end. He's like, at the start I gave you the option to walk away or to fight this fight, so you also have the option to fight it or to walk away. If you walk away, you walk away with a few friends, like the sheriff and a couple of other deputies that first arrive with you. But as you're driving, a song plays on the radio. Now, when you're fighting Jacob, he... I can't remember what it's called, but
triggers?
You might know what it is. It's like when a song triggers a certain reaction, so he like imprints it in you that when the song plays, you go on a murder spree.
Well, if anyone's seen Zoolander, we all know the kind of reaction.
So it's like he sort of like gets you to that point. So you're almost like a sleeper agent for them.
Yeah.
So this ending, you walk away, you drive in, the sheriff's like, "Oh, let's put something on the radio." Song comes on, and then your guy goes a bit psycho, and he's like, the sheriff's like, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" Game ends.
And it's like you go psycho.
Like you see like the screen sort of going a bit shaky, like it usually does whenever you're about to like go into this like sort of phase, and then he just sort of looks at you and goes, "What's wrong with you?" Game ends, and it's like, oh, so in that ending, Joseph has all your mates, and you've just killed the only people that he doesn't have, most likely. The other ending, you fight back, you free all of your friends, but then 3 nuclear bombs go off, and you have to drive to a nearby bunker with the 2 deputies, the sheriff and Joseph, who's being handcuffed. And you get to the bunker, vehicle crashes. The only other person that survives is Joseph, and he drags you into the bunker, and he's like, "Now me and you are going to survive down here, just me and you, for like the next 30 years. And it sort of just ends with like this weird long 30-second pause when he's just staring at you. And I was like, none of this was good. Like, this is all bad.
I was kind of waiting for you to get to the ending where something kind of resolved in a good way, like he was arrested and killed or...
No. One of the interesting points in the game though that he brings up is he's like, when he's talking about the end of the world, he's like, "Can't you see the world that we live in?" He's like, "Think about who's in charge right now." And I was like, wait. I was like, that's definitely a call out to Trump, isn't it? Like, come on. Like, and it was another one of those things where they're like, "We're not calling out anyone at the start of the game," but I was like, that is a massive reference to Trump.
It cracks me up. It's like, it for some reason reminded me of the opening of Watchmen. It's like, oh yeah, it's all fictional. President Nixon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say it's a good game. Like, there's basically 4 main bad guys: Joseph, and then his like siblings, and yeah, they're a pretty messed up family. But it's a good game, very enjoyable game. Classic Far Cry from what I've heard, pretty much.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I did prefer God of War though. That's still up there as better than this one.
Actually, I played some God of War over the weekend. Actually.
Well, here is also a dad of war. Not
Dad of Welfare War.
He's not a dad of Boibo.
The welfare war. It's a tough fight. Yeah, no, because I went around my neighbour's house and he's got it, and I was like, oh, I actually want to have a go, and so I was.
Just subtly tapping the table, slightly less hard. Could you guys, for someone who's not played any God of War,
yeah,
do you fill me in a little bit?
I thought I did.
Yeah, I thought we did.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago.
Okay, well.
You're God of War.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, cool.
That's pretty much
from Greek mythology, who makes his way over to Norse mythology.
Yeah, because isn't it in the PlayStation 2 game, you kind of killed all the Greek gods?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we're up to speed.
Oh, but Zeus comes back. They're in Helheim with a couple of visions.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. So does Athena as another vision. She pops up.
But the bit I played was that when he's with his son.
He's always with his son.
No,
that's the entire game.
Wait for it.
Boy.
He's with his son, but they go into the temple of the giants.
Okay.
And they're having a chat, and he's like, I don't know.
Is it were you climbing up like a rocky
the giant's
staircase?
Fingers? Like, yeah. So, yeah.
Are they frosty
and the sun,
going through a temple.
Yeah, the sun touches the wall.
Murals on the wall.
Yeah, that's it. And then he gets to the top, and he's like, and he's basically explaining like who he is, where they've come from, and then the kids.
Big reveal.
Well, yeah. Should I reveal that?
You have to say spoilers ahead.
Yeah.
Spoilers ahead for God of War on PlayStation 4.
Just
Sony exclusive.
2 minutes.
Well, yeah, because obviously before he's explained that the son is also a god.
Yep.
And obviously it gets to this point, and he's like, okay, well, I wasn't the only parent with secrets. Your mum was obviously a giant.
I asked you this question the other day. I was like, who do we know from Norse mythology?
Yeah.
Who is human, giant, and god blood? And then you were like, I don't know, Loki. And I was like,
yeah.
Hey.
And then they find out obviously that the boy's actual name is Loki, and obviously they get to the top.
Atreus.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah,
that's when he finally calls him son, and it's so emotional.
It was pretty emotional actually, especially when they get to the top and they're looking over and you can see the hills and they're all giants. Just like it was. I hadn't played any of the bit before, and I just kind of took over, and I was like, this is a pretty good game.
It's a really
good game. It sort of crosses the line into video, and like it's really good.
It tells a good story, you could say.
Well, yeah, that's
but with
thing,
fantastic gameplay.
It's not like cutscenes, because it's all like one. The whole game is a flowing motion. Like in that cutscene, then the camera pans away and you see them spraying the ashes or whatever. Like that makes it so much more picturesque, because it just flows into a cutscene as opposed to like being like, right, chop here now.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that because certainly in games of yore.
Games of yore.
So these are games about yore. These are cracking characters.
In the games of yore. But you know how like even as recently as like just a couple of years ago, you'd have like your gameplay engine, one like level of graphics, and then you have your cutscene engine, which was all like swish swish. It's nice that we've gotten to a stage where a lot of games now it's the same engine. So like you say, you feel more connected. It feels like it follows along. It does. If nothing else, from what I've looked at, the color palette is superb. It looks visually like a stunning, really good game. And as an exclusive game, it would tempt me very much to buy the PlayStation 4.
That you already own.
Unfortunately, Horizon Zero Dawn did that for me last year.
You say unfortunately.
Well, it was a very good decision.
I've literally got only one quibble with it, and that's really
a quibble from the games of yore.
Quibble.
I've got a quibble.
Word bingo.
Hit me up with your quibble.
I didn't notice it, but as soon as I noticed it, I couldn't stop. You know when they go upstairs and then they climb up like every time they climb up like a slight cliff, he just goes and there's no kind of effort. I know he's a god, I appreciate that, but it's just kind of like watching Sonic the Hedgehog or something. It just doesn't feel in any way realistic. There's no kind of...
He's a god.
I understand that.
From Greek mythology that never existed originally, who's now
I
in
understand.
Midgard and the various realms.
I
of
understand.
Lord-
He is saying it's
I
a.
understand.
bringing it back.
I
He's
understand.
saying it's a quibble
I'm
with
saying
the
it's a
walking
quibble.
animation.
What I'm saying is that it just kind of makes you feel that the terrain and the topography has no relevance. That's what I mean. It just kind of feels like you're walking through a platform.
Did you at any point get in a rowboat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that made it feel like there was terrain, because that was the most aggravating thing. The amount of times I got in and out of bloody rowboats in that game, and I felt like I'm the god of war. So don't give me couldn't climb up a little rock. When he was able to climb up a rock, I was like, what a release.
So you know, he might be God of War, but he isn't God of War.
This is. I feel like we've hit a difference in like when I played Skyrim, I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. You've got real terrain. You have to climb it. It has kind of effects unless you're on a horse. Exactly.
Get rid of that terrain.
But that's just kind of what annoyed me. Maybe it's just that I've played a few games like that, and I was like, it just was like, what the hell's going on? Every time I was like, Cliff is like, fist pull, and he's
You
like,
forget he is an entire Mount Olympus down at this point.
that's fair.
So,
That's
If
fair.
that's his only issue with the entire game is a
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
animation and grunt, then
Yeah.
that is a ringing endorsement.
Again, I say
That
it's a
was the
small
other
quibble.
thing.
The game is fantastic.
that was the only things that I had, was like getting around mechanics were annoying.
I just kind of felt there's older games that kind of do it better, but with regard to that. Where and the rest of it is fantastic.
The older God of War games, it was a lot more fluid than that. You wouldn't even have to climb up something; you just jump like 50 feet.
Yeah.
I say 50 feet. I mean, like it was a lot, but not 50.
Yeah. But then as you say, he is a god, so I can't really moan too much. can't really moan too much. But yeah. So you haven't played it yet?
I've not played it yet. I'll be honest. I am interested, but what got me really interested was when you were saying, again, spoilers for God of War if you haven't figured it out already. You were saying to me last week, post our Infinity War discussion, spoilers ahead for Infinity War. It basically this game takes all the we love Thor. We kind of love Loki, and makes Thor into like a bad guy. It's a whole different take on the character or the demigod of Thor, which is nice because he doesn't become just this one guy.
It's nice, but in the build up to watching Infinity War, it made me so conflicted, because it was like, here's this awesome giant who crafted all of these things for these people and gave them so much hope, and then Thor killed him, and I was like, and it would be like, and here was this guy who gave like infinite knowledge across all of the realms. He was the old god of war, but he preached his war in a way of peace and understanding. If you knew their culture, you wouldn't necessarily go to war with them. And then Thor killed him, and I was like, would just stop. I like Thor.
Yeah. I've got a lot of respect for that decision. Who are we going to make into a figure of hate in this game?
It did make me enjoy the
Thor,
game.
Odin's son.
It did make me enjoy the game a lot more, though. I'm not going to lie, but yeah, it was one of those things where it was just internal dilemma. It's like, don't unravel the marvel.
Are you a real Thor fan? Thor fan?
I am a Thor fan.
Is that what they call you guys?
I really like
Thor.
I'm just saying that moment in Ragnarok where he is like electricity, I'm just like Chris Hemsworth, me and you, dark room now.
Right. To be fair, if he was in a room, it wouldn't be a dark room, would it? 'Cause, I mean,
Not if he's lit up.
It'd be lit.
You threw up a little bit inside your own mouth there, didn't you?
I had to swallow.
Dan lacks the sincerity when it comes to using lit.
Yeah, so did I.
Smooth. Naughty.
He's one of the best characters. Definitely. Yeah. He's very easy to like. I just find Tony Stark, Iron Man, is just not. It's the arrogance, I think. It's
the whole point.
Yeah,
But I feel like the
I
reason
get that.
people don't like him for his arrogance isn't because of Tony Stark, it's because they know it bleeds into Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, he's become the person. Like a lot of actors when they play one character for so long. Like, I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger became the same character in every
Hugh
single
Jackman
film.
is Wolverine.
Exactly, Hugh Jackman, perfect example. And it's just a bit much. It's just you get carried away, and then there's no growth because they're the same person.
Speaking of growth and Tony Stark, we had a point to bring up this
We
week,
did.
didn't we?
Heavy spoilers, so skip ahead 5-10 minutes at this point. I want to hear this.
I would say 10.
Yeah.
Let me just bring it up because I had to write it down.
Yeah, so basically we were saying to do with the point that we were making yesterday about Doctor Strange with the Time Stone, when he was able to see ahead for like the 14,360 possibilities or whatever it was, he then keeps Tony Stark alive, or at least the film makes it very obvious that that's what it was, and it feels obvious that that's what it was. So like he sacrifices the stone in the end to Thanos to keep Tony alive, despite earlier on saying, I won't hesitate to throw you or Spider-Man under the bus to protect the Time Stone, pretty much. And then, literally 30 minutes later on the film, he's like, it was the only way, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
With that, what we had in mind was that means Tony Stark's going to be a key player in future decisions. So I think, if I remember correctly, it was to do with building up to this film, a lot of like the visions Tony Stark's been having is like a lot of his friends and stuff dying. 6 other, by our count anyway, 6 other Avengers remain apart from Tony Stark.
Yep.
There are 6 Infinity Stones. We've already seen 1 superhero sacrifice to get an Infinity Stone. The gauntlet sort of seemed broken at the end of the film. So it's like, is that why? And then is that why Doctor Strange was like, I'm sorry, this is the only way, because he knows the rubbish that Tony's going to have to go through
to sacrifice himself.
Not himself. No, this is what I'm saying. This will be the moment Tony Stark has to sacrifice the other 6 Avengers for the 6 Infinity Stones, because he's finally like I said, the theme of the whole first film was like, oh, I couldn't sacrifice them, but now it looks like it could become like full circle and then be like, okay, we're going to finally have to do it, and I'm going to have to do it to 6 of you.
And what makes it...
So you think that the other 6 are going to have to die to recover those stones?
Potentially.
Well,
there was also another element to that, wasn't there?
Kind of, yeah. So, again, this might be kind of ad-libbing from someone else who I think expressed it much better than I could. Bob Chipman, who did a piece on it. Being that quite often, like, the character arc, let's say a character, or certainly usually in like a Marvel film, will be they start out with something wrong and then they go through some growth and then they become a mature, rounded person because they've addressed it. Things like being like Star-Lord, he started out unable to basically face the fact that he'd have to lose his mum, which is he could never get over, so he was still a man-child essentially, and even by the end of the first one he could kind of accept that his mum was gone. End of the second one, he just about managed to get over moving on with that, and also having to make the decision of not basically falling into, I could just be with my old man, who is also, that loss. So he just become a well-rounded character, and then he, in Infinity War, is like, okay, I'm going to actively make the decision of losing the woman I love to protect the stone, tries to pull the trigger, has that yanked away from him. Oh no. Tony Stark hasn't got there yet, really, because his whole hang-up, essentially since the first Iron Man, was that he couldn't save everybody.
Yeah.
Or he felt like he was powerless to keep everyone safe.
By getting rid of the weapons industry that he had, to keep people safe.
His whole thing is that he has a power complex, doesn't he? And because he can't control everything, he gets...
Well, it's not just that, it's also he can't keep safe the things that he loves.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing of the Age of Ultron, the Accords, was he wanted some way to basically stop people from being in danger. I mean, it's a bit of a power complex, but it's also an insecurity.
Well, yeah, he switches sides, doesn't he, to imprison the people he feels can't be controlled.
Yeah.
So his hang-up is he doesn't want people to be in danger, and he doesn't want to lose people. He's constantly worried he's going to lose Pepper.
Yeah. Well, without being funny, he's like a child taking it into death.
Taking it into the fourth one, the people he loves, he's going to have to sacrifice and lose to come full circle and accept.
I see where you're going.
Sacrifice.
These are not the droids you're looking
for.
It's a sci-fi Marvel-tastic masterpiece.
It's a rope-a-dope situation.
That just sort of ties in with that whole Doctor Strange moment of
the only way.
This was the only way. So it kind of sets it up, like, because it's the way he looks at Tony when he says it is almost like, I'm so sorry. I know what you're about to have to do.
He knows what's going to happen. Yeah.
And that's kind of like what I feel gives away that Tony is probably going to have to be in some way the sacrifice of other people in this next film in some way, shape or form?
So I've done a bit of research myself.
Ooh.
And
Hold
relating to this, hold it. So what I was looking at is that actually this is going to come back to Nebula.
So he's done his research.
Yeah, I've done my research.
You mean Gamora's sister?
Yeah. So she. So how did it? So if you could just recap what happened.
Is
to
it
Nebula?
because in the comic books Nebula steals the gauntlet from him?
No.
No, he is right. We miscounted.
Yeah.
No, did we miscount? Wait. Nebula, Rocket, Captain America, Black Widow, Hulk, Thor, War Machine. Okay, 7. Okay, it's not 6. Cool.
But she is. So
other
she's
people
not
might die en route.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might. But the whole point is about it that she is the wronged individual. Like she is the person that her whole arc has been pushed by Thanos into doing the things he wants to do, and it's never of her own accord. She's always on the wrong side of things. She can never seem to get the right. But now she's been tortured and tormented by Thanos. Like she's finally reached the peak of her arc. Is that she is the one that will actually start the process by coming back. So she'll be the one that brings back her sister.
Oh.
She'll be the one.
Oh, that would be so rubbish, though.
But the point is that she is a hollow.
You've got Thor and Iron Man alive, who people actually care about.
But that's what I mean. It's the obvious heroes. They're the obvious winners. But she is not the obvious hero.
No, you're right. But
Yeah.
I feel like you are overlooking that Doctor Strange moment.
There's
I
also.
don't feel like he would have said it. They wouldn't have had Benedict Cumberbatch say it in the compassionate way that he said it to Tony Stark after having that whole, you're terrible and I don't care about you. Just
what is Nebula? What is she?
She's a robot.
What does Tony Stark do?
Part robot.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Part robots to get in them.
And look at like Jarvis, who's become like the white
Vision.
like
Jarvis is now Vision.
Yeah.
His AI is now Friday.
Well, whatever it is, the white one.
The wet one?
Isn't he white?
No, he's like red and gold.
No, but after he gets the stone removed, he's
he's dead.
Is he dead in the film?
Well, yeah, the last thing you see is stone ripped, his body like loses colour, and then he just slump.
Well, because I know you were explaining in the books he turns into the white.
Yeah, it's almost like the white version of Vision,
like
but a very, very different person entirely. I say person, he's still a robot.
Yeah.
What are you getting at here with robot people?
Well,
they do a lot of stuff.
No. What I'm saying is that the whole point is that you've got all this group of heroes. And Nebula is not a hero, but she's the one that's
an anti-hero by now.
Yeah, maybe, but she's been tortured and like reduced to nothing.
I feel like you're getting real hung up on the torture.
I feel like you're arguing someone else's point.
Yeah.
No. I mean, obviously, I haven't seen Infinity War, but like from the way the arcs go.
Confirmed. I think you're.
I see what you're saying about Tony Stark, but I don't think Tony Stark is going to be the one that sort of starts it. I think it will come back to, like, when most of these kind of plots go on, the people that end it are usually the people closest to the people.
And based on what Gabe said and what I said in terms of Iron Man's. Well, Tony Stark's the one who in the film says, I've had visions of Thanos for 6 years, which he has, and all the stuff that Gabe said as well. That's not a big enough arc to finalise this. Like, I guess like they have kept Nebula alive in part because that is coming up to finish hers off.
Yeah.
But Iron Man's been going on way longer and it's been way more obvious and way more epic.
I feel like it is also worth remembering it's a little bit outside of just watching the films, but the contracts which are due to be finished by the end of that film will also give you an indicator. It might be Nebula makes the transition from villain to heroine. It might be.
I think those two together could potentially. I think,
but it wouldn't be
points that could actually be.
Yeah, they could be
together in the same way.
Because it's not like it's a 90-minute film.
No, there could be a case of they want to tie up both of those arcs.
Yeah.
I mean that like they're a natural pairing, like his obviously situation and her knowledge of him.
I don't know about personality-wise.
I'm not talking about like.
Well, Iron Man's been aware of this threat longer than everyone else and been super worried about it. And the whole point of Ultron, that film, was, I know this threat is coming.
Yeah.
I need to do something to stop it.
Well, let's put a literal shield around the Earth. Not directly.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. around the Earth.
Not directly what he said, but the sentiment was there. Yeah. I suppose the only way we'll really find out, though, is in cinemas next year. What?
So Eurovision. Or are we
Yeah.
done?
Let's round up on Eurovision.
A little bit round up.
Let's talk about the real important event, which
Oh,
was last
Graham
Saturday.
Norton, the hero, the saint. Give him a knighthood.
He might already have one.
Yeah, you might
Yeah,
have one. It's
I
probably
hope
got like
he
an
does.
OBE or something.
Let's find out.
OBE, MBE, I don't know which one's which.
He makes those shows so much better. Without him, they would just be these cheesy, sort of tacky sort of things. But he comes in out of nowhere, and I'm just like, you add everything to this.
Okay, quick question. Do the other countries have like a version of Graham Norton?
Oh,
doing the
yeah.
same thing?
I would guess so.
I would
Or
be.
do they take it seriously? Because I can imagine the Germans
No,
take it
I imagine
seriously.
they have a version of Graham Norton, but someone that, like, in terms of a presenter over the top of the
Yeah.
TV show presenter, potentially.
Taking the piss out of every other country.
In my mind, I feel like we might be the only ones to do that, because what's the point in having all of that show where you have those presenters if you're just going to have someone talk over it anyway? So I get the feeling like we might be one of the only nations to actually do that.
I think it depends. I reckon they do have someone who voices over, but I might not take the mick as much as Graham, depending on
That
the country's
definitely.
viewpoint.
Mm.
Like,
I
Sweden
honest-
aren't going to do that, they take it very seriously.
I honestly
Yeah.
love the cheese.
Yeah, basically, from living there.
Oh, a
Did you
little.
live in
They-
Sweden?
Let's
they,
listen to the mic drop for just a minute.
They basically host, like, essentially their X Factor is almost like, will you get on Eurovision? Like, it's like they have like a whole music contest
Really?
to see
Yeah.
who will be their,
I feel like
their
we just
nominee,
we
which
just
is
pick a
why
guy
they
off
do.
the street.
This is why they do so well.
Yeah.
That's why Euphoria is a banger.
It is an absolute tune.
Like, this is why they had Waterloo.
I kind
Not
of.
that I know that it was around
I'm
back
pretty
then,
sure.
but
I'm pretty sure the British actors picked off of like CBeebies TV.
I have no ideas how
I mean, it was
UK
alright this
person
year.
gets. I just don't know how they get picked.
No,
Like,
it's,
in Sweden, it was this massive thing. It was like, here's like, we're gonna do this whole voting process and stuff, and even then they've got to get through the semi-finals of Eurovision itself. But
well,
with,
there's rules
with
to
that,
it, isn't there? Like the act is like supposed to be amateur. They're not supposed to be a professional like singer or something. So there's certain rules that rule out a lot of people you see in like British pop
But
shops.
in-
That's why
in-
Elton John
no,
can't
no,
go on Eurovision.
but in the UK, have you ever heard of anything remotely to do with Eurovision or how to get there, apart from when I just spat? Apart from when the singer appears on stage and starts singing, then you're like, who is this person?
This is true.
Like, there's not like a thing where it's like, hey, if you want to be in Eurovision, go here.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. It's not even a TV show where it's like, this is how we picked our Eurovision contestant. It's literally
It's
just
not even like the Royal Variety
introducing
performance,
this
yeah.
person and then they're singing. And it's
Yeah.
like, because we don't even have to do semi-finals. We just straight in
I-
at the finals
I
because
think-
we're one of the big six.
I seem to remember at some point a few years back there hearing about like a TV show that was like picking the final person that's going to go on. But I think it is like
Yeah, but that was it. You seem to remember
Yeah.
kind of.
that's what I mean.
Whereas
it's
in
not,
Sweden,
it's not a big thing.
boom, national thing. And I don't think it is just Sweden. Like a lot of European countries, it's a huge event, a big festival.
Mm.
Parties which are literal streets.
Yeah.
So this year was actually full of a lot of good songs. I'm not a big fan of ballads and opera, so I'll sort of rule those out immediately. I won't lie.
Sorry, Estonia.
But
Was there a lot of ballads and opera?
There actually wasn't. There was
a single
I remember
opera.
it being a really, really good year.
Yeah.
I didn't like the song that won, which was like this really weird. It was Israelia won.
Israelia.
Sorry, Israel won.
Israelia. Papers, please.
I know they moved the embassy, but I didn't realise they changed the country's name.
No, Israel won, but I just really, really disliked the song, and the singer was like doing all this weird eye stuff and like mouth stuff, and it was weird, and it was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I mean, as bad as
A
it
lot of
makes
people
that
are saying that
sound,
about
it
Israel.
was eye and mouth stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tongues
She was,
were
like, going,
moving, eyes were
Cross-eyed and
vibrating.
doing all this stuff, and it was like,
What?
why? Why are you
Yeah.
doing that? It was weird.
But don't put it on now because
I'm
we're
not gonna put
recording.
it. I'm
Put it
not
on
going to put it
mute.
on now. I'm just gonna.
Put it on mute.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's go and have a listen to that, because that's the song that won, but not
It wasn't a
really
great
a
song.
fan of it.
I've not heard of. This might just be maybe the company I keep, but I've not ever come across someone who really loved a winner of Eurovision, other than Euphoria.
We are the heroes of our time. Whoa.
That was a
See,
tune.
there are good winners in Eurovision.
That is true.
I didn't like last year's winner, the Portuguese guy.
Oh, although speaking of winners, who are the winners in your heart for last Saturday?
Oh, there's just too many.
Top
If I'd
five.
say,
Top
like,
five. Top five.
What I'm going to say to the viewers is, go out and watch Denmark, Sweden, Austria, France, and chime in if I'm forgetting any here. But those ones definitely.
They were definitely strong. It was weird listening to it rather than watching it. Some songs have grown on me. Like the Czech Republic one had grown on me quite a bit.
I forgot what that one is.
That was the one with the backpacks and the hipsters.
See, I said the song was good. I just didn't like it because of the stage performance.
Yeah.
Like they dabbed and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, "You're tragic. Get off." Like,
It was pretty bad. Even I was like.
Even you.
I was puking a bit in my mouth.
yeah, it was.
Alright,
It was a step too far.
It was.
Yeah.
It was not fun to be a
Yeah.
part of. A few people like Italy. That one I've seen is like.
Really?
People like it or don't.
It wasn't my cup of tea.
No, I didn't enjoy it, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sort of trying
There are
to.
people who liked
Yeah,
it.
it was quite a popular one. Cyprus, a lot of people liked.
Cyprus didn't hold up to the listen. It was a great performance. It was a spectacle, but it didn't hold up so well.
I actually kind of want to do like a shout out to Australia. They did really badly, but they actually, I feel, deserve to do so much
The
better.
song, really good song, quality song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think some people were a bit unimpressed by the fact that it was sort of one woman on stage rather than a big gimmick.
And
But
honestly,
she sold it, I would have thought.
You should watch Israel just for the, like, it is the winner, just to sort of get that. Top 5 for me, though, I am, like, in this order from, like, I'm going to go 4 to 1 because I kind of have like a 5th, but France,
Is the best.
no, 4th.
Is the fourth.
France, then Denmark, then it's Austria, then Sweden.
I feel like there's no bias taking place there.
Sweden was
Sweden
quite a
actually
tune.
really good song.
Well, to be
And,
fair, if they take it as seriously as
and
you're saying now, I'm not
like, I think they won like 2015, 2016
Yeah.
as well. So
They had a point where they only
take
had
it
3
really-
years on the trot.
They take it really
They're
seriously,
the
and
new,
that's
they're
why
the
they
new
have,
island,
like,
are they?
I described the guy that actually sung the song like it was almost like a Daft Punk Justin Bieber backing track with Justin Timberlake doing vocals.
That's
like,
that was
really
exactly
good.
what it was.
It was really good.
It was all the best bits.
I thought the guy looked like a bit of an arrogant, like, you know,
Swedish
knob,
guy.
but
Yeah.
what are you saying?
No, I'm just saying I've met a lot of people travelling.
No, yeah, but
It's
Other than
Sweden.
that, the song was really
Switzerland.
good.
Is Switzerland in the Eurovision Song Contest?
Yeah, they were. I don't know if they made it to the
I don't
finals.
think they made it to the final.
Yeah.
The Denmark one's really good. It was sung by Vikings, but I think
It
Alan.
was sung by Vikings.
No, they were. They were actual Vikings. Like,
Okay.
But Graham Norton summed it up well when he was introducing them. Like when he said he was like, "I'm not sure how Viking you can be if you're wearing guy liner," and then they come out and they're wearing guy liner.
Yeah.
But it was.
Like,
it was
as a song, though.
It was the song was good, and the more I listen to it, like the more I like it. But it just never kicked in. Like you hear like, "Oh, Viking's going to be singing," you're going to expect like all this like, sort of like backing up sort of stuff, and like it get really like epic and intense.
Yeah.
Never really got there.
No.
No, but it was still good nonetheless.
I'm going to be honest. Just listening to that makes me want to go home and play like Toe War Britannia.
Listen to Dovahkiin
Yeah.
from Scarring.
Yeah.
That's how it should have been, but it never like that was me and Gabe
Yeah.
texting as it was on was like it could be as good as that,
Yeah.
but it's just not quite getting
I
there.
think my brother made the point, though, of if people are saying you're not quite Jeremy Saul, then, you know, that's not really that big of an insult, because the guy's a very famous and gifted composer, you know, that's quite a lot to compete with.
Yeah.
Although they weren't quite Jeremy Saul, I'm going to put that.
Wow.
Germany was actually quite a good one as well. Actually, I forgot to sort of do
I
that,
wasn't
but
so
it
keen
was
on it.
it was one of those, like I was saying, like I'm not really into ballads so much, and
I
this
thought
was like a
Ireland-
song that he wrote for his dad who had passed away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But what I didn't like about it personally, because it made me feel awkward, was the very final lyrics of the song was something like, "And now you've left me here all alone," and I was like, he died. I was like, jeez. And then I don't like these competitions where people vote for someone just because of a sad story. Like I get it, it is sad that you've lost your dad, but don't milk it. For
Yeah, I
something.
get it. You've pretty much hit the nail on the head of one of the things I hate about Eurovision Song Contest. There's always about 5 or 6 nations that interact that are just really sad, and it's like, oh.
I quite like the
yeah.
Ireland ballad, which felt kind of sad in its own way, but it was... I don't know.
It just kind
It
of
felt
seems
more...
like.
Weirdly enough...
Same-sex dancers for the Ireland song, like which was actually pretty good.
Did they?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
like, it was
cool.
2 guys like dancing. That was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Apparently, is it Hong Kong or China wouldn't air it because of that?
China.
Yeah,
One of the
China.
languages,
China about LG. Yeah.
We proper Donald Trumped for a minute there. China.
China. They're doing great. They're winning.
Well, that was another thing as well. During the UK performance, which I actually didn't get like any votes pretty much, but I actually thought was a really good song. But what happened, which I thought was quite weird, was halfway through the song, someone run on stage, took the microphone from the singer, and then said something along the lines of, "To all you Nazis in the like British media, like something."
During the performance.
During the performance, and then like they quickly rushed out another mic to the singer, and she continued singing, and her song was to do with like fighting through the storm. And I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I had the feeling, I was like, UK could do well this year. Like people are gonna look at that and be like, the song and the fact that happened, and she's like continue with it, and she didn't want to perform the song. She like stuck at it. I was like, she could do really well here just on the basis of that.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. But, you know, I enjoyed the song. I thought she probably should have actually
All
re-performed
you
it and gone
Nazis
with
in
it.
the British media.
So
something along those lines.
The exact words were, "All the Nazis of the UK media, we demand freedom." It was a dude who looked almost like a Eurovision entrant.
Was it a British guy?
It sounded kind of.
It did sound British.
It sounded kind of British, but it was also, for me, it was a bit interesting because she did have the option to re-perform, which, as weird as it sounds, it would also have been if she re-performed and it didn't sound as good. So there was that side of it.
I think they would have told her not to take it on the basis of the public might respect that, if that makes sense, and be like, oh, okay, that happened, we feel bad, let's vote for you, and try and milk that as well, which also isn't a great thing.
Which
no,
they didn't. They
okay.
completely didn't. What bugged me, again, maybe it's just sort of, to me, I wasn't there, so I didn't know how much of a big deal it was. But Graham Norton basically wouldn't stop harping on about it every time Suri came up for the rest of the night.
All the time. That was the one thing that was annoying about him, was that, like, even when it was, you know, it does like the little like montages before a new act comes on.
Or
like,
the UK would be mentioned.
Yeah, during them he was like, oh, and if you've only just joined us, I want to point out that the UK singer like had someone come on stage, she's terrifically brave and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, she is, because someone's run on stage and anything could have happened. But, you know, you don't need to do this every 5 minutes.
She hasn't exactly done 40 days in the world.
The one I did like, which I forgot, and this is like just me playing GTA San Andreas too much and listening to way too much K-Rose. So Netherlands did like a
I'm
South
surprised you
American
didn't
country
bring that
song,
one
and I
up.
can't believe I forgot it. And it was probably like one of those where it's like ding, ding, and like it like little head bob. It was great. It was like, everybody's got a little outlaw in them, and I was like, yeah.
Really?
It was so good. It was actually really, really good. Like,
I think the song.
I think I was like the only person I know of that really enjoyed it.
On
but
the
I just
night,
have that weak
definitely.
spot for
No, it sounds
like
good.
country music, like, and I was like, oh, this is actually all right, and it was like getting me going. Like,
definitely have a listen. The performance was weird, I think, because the guy looked like he was trying too hard, and then he had loads of like backing dancers in like white vests doing ninja moves.
yeah, they were doing, and they were doing
Well,
like
to be
body
fair-
popping and stuff like that, whatever, like all this crazy
Which
stuff.
was
And I was
the
like,
least-
you don't need to do that.
It was
like,
the least country thing I've ever seen, but listening to it, it's all right.
I think Graham summed it up though quite well. After that performance finished, he said it felt like for a moment during it that you'd actually gone to a gig to see this guy perform.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the feel of it, and that's how it felt. And that's why I thought he did really well. And I was kind of like, if someone performs, they give you that feeling.
Yeah.
They're doing really well.
Especially
but-
because a lot of them are amateurs. A lot of them
Yeah.
aren't like professional singers.
But that's what I got from
Netherlands,
Australia too.
Like finished quite low down, if I remember. Yeah,
Is that-
like, they
is
were in
that-
they were in the bottom half.
Yeah.
Sad times. Spoilers
Yeah,
for
I enjoyed
Eurovision,
it.
folks.
Yeah, we haven't had a great run of things recently, have we?
Nah.
Ever since old, who was the last person that went Shine a Light in the 90s? Shine a Light.
Oh man, that's
Oh,
bad.
Tiny
Katrina and the
Shots?
Waves.
Not that.
Katrina and the Waves.
I've actually watched a video of all Eurovision winners from 1956, and by
You had a
far-
slow evening, didn't you?
by far we have come up runner-up more times than any other nation, and by far, like watching this video, it was like winner Lithuania, runner-up United Kingdom, next one winner Sweden, runner-up United Kingdom, and I was like, what is going on?
When
Like,
was this?
Well, there's a lot of politics.
1956 and onwards.
There's a lot of politics in it, though, isn't there? Like,
Well,
a lot,
I'm-
like the whole voting system is like,
You-
no one likes the UK and Europe.
I think that changed a bit this year as well, in that there were, every time it seemed overtly political, huge boos from the stadium. Huge boos.
like
Also,
massive.
it was a much closer contest this year,
Mhm.
and the public vote, they just So like half of the votes are from basically the phone-ins.
Yeah.
And
And
they
the
just
other half are from.
the panels.
Yeah.
But no, that was a proper little moment where it was
Look,
there was
run-
10 points in it.
Runners up 3, 5, 6 United Kingdoms there, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Did I count that? Can't remember. 15. I said 15. But yeah, 15 times. Like we've come runner up, and I was like, why is this happening so often? Like, why do we?
It's like our penalties. Like,
Yeah.
we can't ever land it.
We'll get there one day.
That's what we get for sending H from steps.
Are we allowed to talk about the World Cup on this podcast in future weeks, Gabe, or is
Well,
that too football for you?
Well, we can talk about it next week.
You can talk about it. I might not be able to follow, but you can talk about
You
it.
could probably talk Gabe through your
Gabe
sticker collection.
loves football.
I enjoy playing it, but I don't know enough of any of the rules to be able to follow it.
Well, yeah.
Kick the ball in a goal.
I mean, how long did it take
It's
for you to
fresh
try and
wash.
teach me the offside rule? I'm not sure I still get it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you just don't have to. You need to stop kicking people in the
But
shit.
you never remember everybody's got a little outlaw in them.
Yeah.
And dances invest me on.
I mean, I play it like FIFA Street, so
Yeah.
Like,
It's
off the
I can't
wall,
believe
in the
you know what
shins.
FIFA
Puck, puck.
Street is.
yeah, I'm a little surprised actually.
I had a childhood.
But
Looks like the
obviously,
squad are wrapping up.
Yeah.
So, I've been Luke.
Wait, hang on. Before you be Luke,
yeah.
I'm not Luke.
what's happening next time?
I may or may not talk about the World Cup if like teams have actually been announced. Like,
When are they announced?
well, they're announcing like the larger squads at the moment, but I mean like the refined squads and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah, 'cause
you
there's
never
no
know.
point in talking
Boris,
about that.
Boris might not want to send the British
No
team.
offence, I don't really want to. No offence, well, I'm not going to offend you with this.
You're
I don't want
quite
to come in
offensive.
next week and do the classic like, oh, you never know, they might say, you know, John Joe Shelby or Jack Grealish.
Why
like,
are
who
you
wants to
putting
hear that?
on like a
Because
lads?
that's like the thing. It's like
That's his
talk
football
sport,
voice.
Like,
That's your lad's
viewers
voice.
coming on.
That's
Like,
your
I'm just
J-
calling in. I just think that you know Gareth Southgate would be an idiot if he didn't say John Joe Shelby. Like, get
You've been
out.
spending way too
Get
much time
out.
with Abel.
A friend from work.
Yeah.
Well, not Dan's friend.
Oh, really?
Nah, no, you guys
There's
are buddies.
some shade you know about that, eh?
Just the way you treat him. No.
Oh, shit, me.
Nah, so yeah, a little bit of World Cup next week. A little bit of Luke
Maybe.
Cage.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, we might mention that Luke's got nothing of a World Cup
Luke
yet.
Cage for a definite.
There'll naturally be some more Infinity War chat.
I don't know.
I feel like we've-
I've got
Have you wrapped it all up?
After 90 minutes,
Don't be jealous because you've not seen it.
yeah, we only managed to analyse it for about half the runtime of the actual film.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
Not
Good
bad.
film.
Good film. Would recommend. Would recommend Lost in Space as well,
Yeah. Would recommend The Expanse as well.
if you like space.
So what you're saying is next week we really don't have much. What we have is what we've talked about this week was really good.
Well, I'm sure we'll wrap some things up.
If I find a game, I'll talk about the game, but I don't know if I will.
We
It'll
still
be
haven't
a-
got around to talking about Total War yet. That's pretty good.
It'll be
Total
a,
War?
Yeah.
Why are we talking about Total War?
Because there's like 3 new games out for it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Warhammer?
No, that's the old one. No, they've released 3 more. There's like Total Britannia.
Sorry, Total War Warhammer 2.
Well, yeah, that was still quite a lot. No, but they've released Britannia, like the British Isles one, and it's actually really
I
good.
thought that was it.
definitely going to be chatting
Yeah.
about that next week.
And there's like a Chinese version, like the 3 Kingdoms coming up, which does like the 3 Kingdoms
Prince
period.
of Britannia.
Yeah, it's really good. You get to play as like the Welsh.
Yar.
That's a thing that hasn't really been catered for before.
Yar.
He's not wrong.
Gareth Bale.
Exactly. But yeah, no, there's a lot of cool stuff. We'll find some stuff. I'm sure we will.
It'll be a surprise episode because you won't know what's happening next. Stay tuned. Have a listen. I've been Gabe.
I've been late.
I've been down.
Boop, ba-doop, ba-doop, boop. Boom.